Reading the biblical accounts of leprosy as random medical anomalies misses the cosmic war entirely. The Hebrew term, saraath, describes an ontological fracture, the visible intrusion of decreation, chaos, and the reign of death into God's ordered world. When a person broke out with this defilement, the community did not seek out a doctor. There were no prescriptions for medicine, no surgeries, and no attempts at therapeutic treatment. In this system, the priest functioned as an epistemic guardian. God commanded him to observe, isolate, wait, distinguish, and declare. The Levitical code established a legal framework. The priest was forbidden from using his own intuition. He submitted his perception entirely to this revealed text. This mandate required exiling the unclean outside the camp to protect the sanctuary from decreation. Under the Old Covenant, the leper was a ritually dead exile. Access to holiness was structured around static geographical boundaries that the defiled could not cross. The Gospels introduce a shift in this sacred geography. In the person of Jesus Christ, the holy presence becomes mobile, traveling from the center toward the margins. This diagram shows the established physics of Levitical purity. Uncleanness operates as an aggressive contagion. Under the Mosaic order, contact with the unclean defiles the clean, requiring strict quarantine to protect the sacred center. Christ operates by a paradigm of reversed contagion. Here, the holiness is the active contagion. Divine life flows outward, meeting corruption on own ground. This uncreated holiness annihilates the impurity upon contact. The Messiah does not contract the defilement, he overcomes it. When Jesus commands the cleansed lepers to show the priest, he invokes a specific legal requirement found in the 14th chapter of Leviticus. This command functions as a martyrium, a legal subpoena. It forces the Aaronic priesthood to use its authorized perception to interact with the miracle. These interactions create a legal record. The miracles rescue the outcast, while simultaneously requiring the Old Covenant to officially investigate the arrival of a new authority. Matthew 8 opens with a spatial transition. Jesus descends from the mountain of Revelation, the site of the Sermon on the Mount, and enters the liminal space of the public road. A leper approaches him. Matthew marks this with the word idu, signaling a significant elevation as the man crosses the social and ritual boundaries that should have kept him at a distance. The man adopts a posture of proskuneo, prostrate worship. He renders homage to Jesus as one possessing supreme authority before the cleansing even occurs. His request reveals a restored perception of who Jesus is. He does not ask if Jesus has the power to cleanse. He asks only if Jesus is willing to use it. Jesus answers with a command, katharistheti, be cleansed. With this word, Jesus creates the very restoration the Levitical priest was only authorized to observe. He speaks with the authority of the Creator, bringing order to chaos. In Matthew's account, the Messiah is the descending king. His performative word reorders the broken elements of creation and reclaims the defiled margins for the glory of God. Mark 1 provides a more visceral account, focusing on the pleading leper kneeling in the dust. The text identifies the motive for the miracle as splachnismai, a deep internal compassion. Jesus is moved by the man's exclusion and physical decay. Mark emphasizes the physical touch, hepsato. Jesus heals at a distance elsewhere in the Gospels, making this physical contact a deliberate theological choice. By stretching out his hand, Jesus breaches the Levea wall. He restores the man's human dignity through touch before he restores his flesh through the miracle. The aftermath of the miracle creates a narrative inversion. The man who was once a ritually dead exile is now free to move openly through the cities. Because of the man's public testimony, Jesus can no longer openly enter the towns. He is forced to remain outside in desolate places like these. Mark presents the exilic exchange. The Holy One voluntarily assumes the isolated geography of the outcast, moving into the margins so that the excluded can return to the center. Luke's account in chapter 5 notes the advanced state of the condition, describing the man as pleres leprae, full of leprosy. This medical detail underscores the absolute impossibility of self-restoration. The man has reached the end of every human possibility. He falls on his face before Jesus, encountering the mobile temple in the contested borderland. The presence he once could not reach has traveled to find him. In Luke 17, this theme expands to a group of 10 lepers who cry out for mercy from the distance required by law. While all 10 are cleansed physically as they obey Jesus' command, the narrative reveals that healthy skin is not the final goal of the miracle. This diagram tracks the response to the grace received. 9 men stop at physical restoration. Only one man, a Samaritan outsider, possesses the perception to return and fall at Jesus' feet. Luke shows that the true completion of cleansing is a restoration of perception. The outsider becomes the model of one who moves past the miracle to find communion with the Messiah. This is the seat of the Aaronic priesthood in Jerusalem, the destination of the subpoena Jesus issued on the road. Across the Synoptic Gospels, Jesus gives the same command: "Go, show yourself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded." This refers to the complex purification rite in Leviticus 14, involving the blood of a bird, cedar wood, and hyssop applied to the person being restored. The Levitical law contained these elaborate procedures for a cleansed leper, but the law itself had no power to produce the cleansing it was prepared to certify. The examining priest was suddenly forced to perform this ritual on genuinely restored flesh, a ceremony he may have never performed in his entire career. By completing the ritual, the priest rendered a legally binding verdict that the age of messianic restoration had arrived. The Levitical system reaches its intended climax through this certification. The old order provides the very witness that confirms its own fulfillment, proving that the new creation has arrived in the person of Jesus Christ.